Hey guys, so this morning Conor McGregor announced his retirement from MMA in a tweet that he put out, which said, "Hey guys, quick announcement. I've decided to retire from the sport formerly known as mixed martial art today. I wish all my old colleagues well going forward in competition. I now join my former partners on this venture already in retirement. Proper pina coladas on me, fellas." So, is Conor McGregor actually retiring from MMA after this tweet? Well, there is a little bit of satire in this tweet, so we can see the way that he has put mixed martial arts seems quite deliberate in inverted commas, and he also alluded to the fact that his former partners, possibly Lorenzo Fertitta, has already retired. And let's not forget that this isn't the first time that Conor McGregor has retired via social media. Back in April 2016, he put out this tweet which said, "I've decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese. Catch yous later." Now this tweet turned out to be a power play from Conor McGregor and a negotiating tool to get the deal that he wanted from the UFC. So despite retiring back in 2016 via tweet, we know that wasn't a retirement and he ended up competing many times past then. So this isn't the first time that McGregor has pulled a stunt like this. And the timing of this tweet that McGregor has put out is very, very interesting, because just last week, the UFC did a brand new pay-per-view deal with ESPN in the United States. Here on the ESPN website, they detail, some of the intricacies around that deal. And basically what it means is all pay-per-view events sold for the UFC now in the United States will be through the ESPN Plus streaming platform. So, as we know, Conor McGregor, the biggest pay-per-view star in sports at the moment, is a massive commodity. And he was probably a massive part of these negotiations. ESPN would have expected Conor McGregor to have, at least 2 or 3 more fights in the UFC, which would obviously be huge home runs for the platform and massive paydays for both the ESPN and UFC. So with this deal being agreed last week, with the finances being arranged based on the fact that Conor was expected to continue competing, this is obviously a huge blow to that deal if Conor retires, because there's going to be much less money in this and in UFC pay-per-views for both ESPN and UFC. So the timing of Conor's retirement after this landmark deal has been announced is very interesting. And also, 2 weeks ago, this video came out via TMZ with Conor talking about his intentions to continue competing in the UFC. So I will just play this for you now for you to take a listen.
If the UFC were unbent to fight, I've said that, no problem. If the UFC want me to slot into that co-main event, they should give me and help. But that is, me slotting into the co-main event is help boosting their brand over fighter rhetoric that they have. And there's no problem with that. But if they want me to push that, and I've no problem with pushing that, give me my rightful shares in the UFC company. That's what I'm saying. Of ESPN Plus, no problem.
My friend, we're all there.
So let's see how it goes. I'm a little bit over that last one of what's happened, but I'm still prepared, ready to fight.
Oh, you're wonderful.
So there it's quite clear that Conor said he's ready to fight. Conor literally said he's ready to fight, but he also alluded to the fact that there were politics in MMA and that he was trying to come to a deal. He also insinuated that he was looking for some shares in the UFC as part of a new deal. So the timing of this retirement, clearly interesting. That clip with TMZ clearly suggests that there are some stumbling blocks in the negotiations around the new deal, and Conor may be trying to strong arm the UFC and potentially threaten to walk away if they won't give him what he wants. And again, just last week, Conor McGregor appeared on the Jimmy Fallon show where he talked a bit more about his current stage in the UFC. So let's take a listen to this.
Let's talk about fighting. What's next? I'm waiting. We're waiting for you.
Well, my next fight, we're in talks for July. So we'll see what happens. A lot of politics and going on. The fight game is a mad game. But again, like I said, and to my fans, I am in shape and I am ready. So Let's
Do
see
we know
what
who it
happens.
is yet? Or?
Well, there are many opponents. In reality, I can pick who I please. You know, I've done a lot. I've fought a lot. I've never pulled out of contests. You know, I've gone through some crazy injuries and crazy external situations, you know, that many a man would sprint for the hills if it happened to them. But I stood firm and done my piece for the company. So I'm in a position now. There are a lot of, like I said, this whiskey is my baby. I have a lot of great entities. I don't necessarily need to fight. I am set for life. My family is set for life. We are good. But I am eager to fight, you know, so we'll see what happens. I'm just staying ready, as I like to say.
You make a lot of people proud, and we're proud of you. And
So also there, very interesting, in that clip on the Jimmy Fallon show from just last week, Conor McGregor said that he's ready to fight, he's ready to go, he's in shape and he wants to compete. He did also say that his family's set for life, he doesn't need to fight, but it is his passion and he wants to compete. So that's very interesting. And in the final clip that I want to show you in this video, this is from Brett Okamoto, who texted Dana White last night to find out basically what's going on with Conor. And this is what Brett had to say.
All right, well, before I give my take on the situation, I feel like I should read this text message that I received from UFC President Dana White. So I texted him, obviously, asking, what do you make of this announcement? Here's what Dana wrote to me. He has the money to retire, and his whiskey is killing it. It totally makes sense. If I was him, I would retire too. Now, I actually got Dana White on the phone for just a little bit and said, you know, this looks like posturing. It looks like something that we saw back in 2016 when the promotion and Conor McGregor weren't seeing eye to eye and these negotiations spilled out into public. Is that what we're seeing here? And Dana White said, no. I mean, nothing's happened that would make or force Conor to feel like he needs to take the negotiations public. I believe him that he's made a whole lot of money, and why would he come back? He's a two-weight champion. I wish him the best. I asked him 1,000%. You are treating this as a legitimate retirement. Dana White said, yes. I am not willing to personally treat it as such just yet. I mean, Conor McGregor just this weekend was talking about fighting Anthony Pettis online. He was on Jimmy Fallon saying that he and the UFC were talking about a return for July. So I am not treating this as an official retirement quite yet from Conor McGregor, but according to Dana White, he is.
So very interesting there from Brett Okamoto. So Dana White is trying to power play Conor McGregor back and say that, you know, he's made a lot of money. I'm treating this as a serious retirement. So based on everything that we've just seen, is Conor McGregor going to retire from MMA? Well, we know that he said he's ready to fight. We know that he wants to continue fighting, and he said that it's his passion. Now, we know Conor clearly from those clips that he still has the passion and the fire to compete. He doesn't need to compete. He said he's got enough money for his family to live comfortable for the rest of his life. But clearly he knows his worth and he wants to be paid what he's worth by the UFC. Clearly the UFC thinks his demands are unreasonable and they're perhaps not willing to give up equity in the company and give Conor McGregor the deal he wants. So, to be honest with you, this reminds me of one of those situations when, you know, when you're a kid and you're all there with your friends playing football. And there's always one kid that brings the football. And then during the game of football, something happens which pisses that kid off. He might get fouled, someone might take the piss out of him, or he just gets annoyed and basically wants to leave the game of football when everyone else is having a great time, everyone else is having a lot of fun. So he picks his football up and he goes to go home, which means the game's over. It ruins the day for everyone. And right now, that's Conor McGregor. The kid with the football is Conor McGregor, and the kid with the football holds all the cards. They are the ones with all the power. They can basically dictate what happens, because if they walk away, everyone loses. The UFC loses, Conor loses, and ESPN loses. But Conor holds all the cards. The UFC and ESPN need Conor more than Conor needs the UFC and ESPN. So this is really a standoff. Are you going to let him walk away with his ball, or are you going to call him back, give him what he wants, and everyone else carries on playing football happily ever after? That is the question here. If I were a betting man, which I am, I would bet that this is a giant play from Conor McGregor to get what he wants. And I would imagine that over the next few weeks, with July International Fight Week and the UFC needing a big fight for International Fight Week, I would imagine that over the next few weeks this all gets worked out and we get a Conor McGregor fight announcement for that July weekend for International Fight Week. Could be wrong, but I think this is a massive power play from Conor McGregor, and I think it's going to pay off, and I think he's going to get what he wants. So that's how I feel about it, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you think Conor McGregor is retiring, or if this is just another game. And if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and below and subscribe.